The mailbox was mangled, and Darius Jackson's patience was shredded to match. In a world where petty power trips masquerade as justice, he never thought his own neighborhood would turn into a battlefield over something as mundane as mail. Darius, a 42-year-old veteran with a bad knee and a sharper mind, had lived on Maplewood Lane for a decade. His modest ranch-style home, with its neatly trimmed hedges and faded American flag, was his sanctuary. But the Harmony Hills Homeowners Association self-appointed guardians of suburban perfection had other plans. They called themselves the HOA compliance crew. But to Darius, they were just Karens with clipboards, itching to control something, anything, to feel important. It started with a letter. Not even a real one, just a photocopied note shoved into his mailbox, accusing him of violating HOA rules by letting his grass grow 1/8 of an inch too long. Darius laughed it off, assuming it was a prank. But the notes kept coming, each more absurd than the last. His mailbox was non-compliant for being silver instead of black. His porch light was too dim. His mobility cart parked in the driveway was an eyesore. Darius, who relied on the cart after a combat injury left him with limited mobility, wasn't amused. He'd served 2 tours in Iraq, taken shrapnel to save his squad, and now 3 women with too much time and too little sense were waging war on his mailbox. The trio Linda, Karen, and Susan called themselves the HOA Oversight Committee. They weren't elected, just loud. Linda, the ringleader, was a real estate agent with a fake smile and a knack for sniffing out problems. Karen, her sidekick, was a retired school secretary who treated the neighborhood like her personal detention hall. Susan, the quiet one, followed along, nodding like a bobblehead but always ready to back up the others. They'd patrol Maplewood Lane in matching visors, armed with measuring tapes and righteous indignation. To them, Darius's existence was a glitch in their perfect suburban matrix. A black man living alone, unbothered by their rules, was a challenge they couldn't resist. The escalation came on a muggy August evening. Darius rolled up to his mailbox after a long day at the VA hospital, only to find it blocked by a bright orange cone and a handwritten sign. Mailbox sealed for non-compliance. Linda stood there, flanked by Karen and Susan, her clipboard practically glowing with authority. "Mr. Jackson," she said, her voice dripping with condescension, "this mailbox is a violation. You've ignored our warnings." Darius blinked, his hands tightening on the armrests of his mobility cart. "Warnings? Lady, I've been getting my mail here for 10 years. Move the cone." The argument erupted like a spark in dry grass. Linda claimed the HOA had new regulations requiring mailboxes to be repainted annually. Karen chimed in, saying Darius's mailbox was lowering property values. Susan just nodded, clutching her phone like she was ready to call the cops. Neighbors started gathering, some on their lawns, others peeking through curtains. Darius felt the weight of their stares, the unspoken assumption that he was the problem. He'd seen that look before on patrols in hostile territory, in stores when he reached for his wallet. But this was his home. He wasn't backing down. "You got proof of these rules?" Darius asked, his voice calm but edged with steel. Linda smirked, holding up her clipboard. "It's all here. HOA Bylaws, Section 12, Paragraph 3. Darius leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Show me," the crowd murmured. Linda hesitated, then thrust the clipboard at him. Darius scanned it, nothing but a vague paragraph about community standards. No mention of mailboxes, paint, or annual upkeep. It was a bluff. "This is garbage," he said, tossing the clipboard back. "You're making this up." The trio didn't budge. Karen stepped closer, her voice shrill. "We're protecting this neighborhood. People like you don't understand how things work here." The words hit like a slap. Darius felt his pulse spike, but he kept his cool. He'd faced worse than 3 wannabe cops with a power complex. "People like me?" he repeated, loud enough for the crowd to hear. "You mean veterans? Black folks? Or just anyone who doesn't bow to your fake rules?" The neighbors shifted uncomfortably. Linda's face reddened, but she doubled down. "We'll have this mailbox removed if you don't comply." That's when Darius decided enough was enough. He spent the next week digging. He called the county clerk, who confirmed the HOA had no legal authority to enforce mailbox regulations. He pulled up old emails from the HOA president before Linda's crew took over, stating that mailboxes were homeowner property, not community-controlled. He even found a decade-old permit proving his mailbox was up to code when he installed it. Armed with a folder of evidence and his phone recording, Darius planned his counterattack. The showdown came at the next HOA meeting, held in the community center's stuffy conference room. Linda, Karen, and Susan sat at the front, their visors practically gleaming under the fluorescent lights. The room was packed. Word had spread about Darius's rebellion. He rolled in on his mobility cart, the folder balanced on his lap, his expression unreadable. The air crackled with tension. Linda opened the meeting with her usual spiel about maintaining standards. But Darius didn't wait for her to finish. He raised his hand, his voice cutting through the room like a blade. "Y'all blocked my mailbox, lied about the rules, and harassed me for months," he said. "I've got proof you're full of it." The room went silent. He held up the folder, then played a recording on his phone, Linda's voice from that evening, saying, "People like you don't belong here." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Karen tried to interrupt, but Darius kept going, laying out the county records, the emails, the permit. Each document was a grenade, dismantling the trio's authority. Neighbors who'd stayed quiet before started nodding, whispering. Linda's face went from red to ashen. But the Karens didn't go down easily. Linda stood, slamming her hand on the table. "This is about community pride, not race," she shouted. "We're protecting everyone's investment." Karen jumped in, accusing Darius of stirring up trouble. Susan, for once, spoke up, claiming the recording was taken out of context. The room erupted into chaos, neighbors arguing, some defending Darius, others clinging to the HOA's narrative. Darius sat back, letting the storm rage. He'd done his part. The truth was out. The aftermath was brutal. The HOA board, embarrassed by the exposure, voted to disband the compliance crew. Linda quit her real estate job after clients dropped her, unable to stomach her tactics. Karen moved away, muttering about ungrateful neighbors. Susan faded into the background, her visor collection gathering dust. But for Darius, victory was bittersweet. His mailbox was unblocked, but the stares didn't stop. The whispers didn't fade. He'd won the battle, but the war against prejudice dressed up as policy was far from over. Every night, Darius checked his mailbox, half expecting another note, another cone. He'd fought for his place on Maplewood Lane, but the cost was heavy. His sanctuary felt less safe, his neighbors less like neighbors. The orange cone was gone, but the weight of being other lingered like a bruise. He kept the folder of evidence on his kitchen table, a reminder that truth could win, but only if you fought dirty and stayed sharp. What do you think were Darius's actions enough to expose the truth? Or should he have pushed harder for justice? How would you handle a community turning against one of its own?